One of the best statistics about college student suicide is that the suicide rate is about 7.5 per 100,000 people. And that comes from a study by Mort Silverman and his colleagues in 1997 of the Big Ten universities. We have to look at those statistics a little bit skeptically because if we're talking about suicides of folks who are in college, some of those suicides happen where they are connected to the colleges that the students go to, and some of them happen off campus. But regardless, even though the 7.5 per 100,000 is less than the similar age group in the general population, it's a tragedy and a significant concern for us, as we know. There are a number of things associated with it. You can see it in the slides in your handouts. That's important. One of those things is if we look at this slide that's up here, in the past 12 months, 84.6% of college students in this assessment by the American College Health Association National College Health Assessment, almost 85% said they felt very overwhelmed. So we look at overwhelmed, exhausted, lonely, sad, these things coalescing together to bring folks to making some decisions that are life-threatening, potentially. Another survey, this is the National Survey of Counseling Center Directors that Dr. Kay spoke about. As we look at that, again, now we see 80% students surveyed reported they were depressed, or 80% of the college counseling center personnel said that their clientele was 80% were depressed. Of those 103 suicides from this survey, we see that 34% of those folks died by hanging. And one of the important things to think about college student suicide and adolescent suicide is that there's a growing trend for suicides in this age cohort to use methods that we have less control over. Firearms, there may be some ability to control. Dying by hanging, dying by suffocating, those are very difficult methods to have control over. So as we think about students and what's going on with them in terms of their mental health, we want to be concerned about access to those kinds of methods. But beyond things like, as we see the risk factors of depression, sadness, hopelessness, and stress that the American Association of Suicidology identifies on their website as primary risk factors, we need to consider the context. Students come and they're dealing with what's happening with the meaning in their lives. So it's more than depression, it's more than sadness. It's about how they're struggling to cope with new environments, the social pressures, fear of failure, alienation, sometimes family history of mental illness, coping skill issues. Someone had spoken earlier about students coming in maybe with less coping skills because as a baby boomer person, I do everything for my kids, so they don't know how to do anything until they get out on campus. And difficult just adjusting to new demands. So we think about students coming for services or students struggling. They have a whole host of issues related to what they see as the meaning of their life and how their life goes on day to day that we need to be concerned about. We also need to think, as we talk in a little bit here about this scenario, what are some warning signs? And these warning signs are listed on the Suicide Prevention Resource Center website that's up there. Worsening school performance, fixation with death, violence, and suicide, unhealthy peer relations, violent mood swings, giving away prized possessions, which for adolescents in general is a strong warning sign. Sudden change in personality, being a victim of abuse, and we talk about bullying, especially for younger kids, but being a victim of other forms of abuse can be a warning sign. Eating disorder behaviors really highlight difficulties folks might be having in terms of adjustment and depression and anxiety, those kinds of things. Adjusting to gender identity issues can be a warning sign, depression and isolation. Any of these characteristics in and of themselves may or may not make us concerned about suicide, but as these characteristics start to come together in any one person, we have to have some heightened concern. So given that kind of background, we will go with the scenario.